Welcome to Morning Momentum with Coffey, a podcast that's dedicated to motivating you with inspiring stories through the power of momentum. Each week, business growth leader, international speaker, trainer, coach, and author Betti Coffey sits down with a new industry leader to find out who they are, what they're doing, and how the power of momentum drives them towards success. Because when you've got momentum, stuff gets done, things happen, and you're on top of the world. You can accomplish anything. And that's what this show is all about, creating unstoppable momentum. It's Morning Momentum with Coffey. Take it away, Betti.
Hi, I'm Betti Coffey, and welcome to the Morning Momentum with Coffey podcast. I am so excited about my guest today. You know how I'm always saying, if you have the right mindset and you have the right momentum, you can absolutely accomplish anything. Well, my guest today is Christopher White, and he is the owner of the retail. I haven't had anybody retail on, guys, and this is going to be so exciting. This is the secret to retail, the true thing that drives momentum. He is the owner of Lekka's, which is in far north Dallas, and we're going to hear about that. But the reason I've got Christopher on is I admire his drive. I admire his focus, his originality. He doesn't like the same old, and neither do we. We don't want the same old when we shop. No, we believe in excellence. We believe in cutting edge ideas. And that's what Christopher is all about. Let me tell you about Christopher. Christopher White. Well, let's see. When I think about Christopher, I think about a quote. And I don't know who said this, but I think about a quote. And it's like, people do not buy goods and services. They don't buy the goods and services. They buy the experience. They buy the fun. They buy the stories behind an article. They buy the magic about that article. And that's what Christopher White and Lekka's is all about. I love that. Christopher White says he was born to retail. You know how some families have got a legacy of doctors, lawyers, pastors, musicians? Christopher's legacy, his entire family has always been involved in retail. Okay. I'm going to let him talk about his bio a little bit because he's very exciting. And I think that lends you an opportunity to find out about him and what makes him special. But Lekka's is in far north Dallas. It's an oasis for all kinds of shoppers. And you're not going to find the same old there. That's why I like the place. When I have to find a really cool gift for a girlfriend or a friend, and I just don't want to go to a normal store, I'm going to go to Lekka's because I know that I'm going to buy something and I know they're going to love it. And that originality, that uniqueness is what Christopher White is all about. So it's a great place to go be immersed. And as he likes to call it, it's a trifecta of fun time and friends. You get to eat, you get to drink, and you get to shop, which is a perfect trifecta. All right. So what I like to do right now is let's talk to Christopher. I want to introduce Christopher White to you. And Christopher, welcome to the Morning Momentum with Coffey podcast.
Hi, thank you. It's great to be here. That was really wonderful, and kind of feel like I'm like that's the story. You nailed it, and we're there. So
tell me about you, because you really, I mean, you exemplify. You're the reason why Lekka's is so famous with the locals around here and so successful. So I guess it all starts with your grandfather. Tell me about your grandfather and the legacy of retail.
So yes, you hit it when you said, I was born to retail. I was born to kind of play this role. My grandfather dropped out of middle school to start as a stock boy at John Wanamaker's in Philadelphia. And this would have been like, eons ago. I can't even kind of tell you. But he kind of progressed through Wanamaker's and eventually had a full career with Household International. But he was at John Wanamaker's. And then my grandmother started out at Saks Fifth Avenue in New York. And
one of my favorite stores. Absolutely.
Yeah, so a beautiful store. And then my mom, when she came along, she started before college, to earn money for college. She was at Strawbridge and Clothier in Philadelphia. So kind of like, and a lot of these retailers, except for Saks, are unfortunately gone, but it's kind of like my mother was like, can't you be a doctor? Couldn't you be a lawyer? I'm like, yeah, no, the apple did not fall far enough from the tree. And so I started out with Macy's South Bullocks out of college. And from there, kind of worked my way through a lot of different retailers, and ultimately 3 years ago bought the store here at Lekka. And it's been exciting because it's back, working with the customer, working with product, and so that's really exciting.
You worked for a long time at Macy's, right? And so,
Yes.
yeah, you worked with all the heavy hitters and you learned a lot.
Yeah, no, my career, it's funny because I bounced around a little bit in that you kind of move from one retailer to another. But when I I started out with Macy's South Bullocks in Atlanta, and I remember going for the interview after, when I was graduating from Georgia Tech, and they sent me a decline letter, and I was horrified because I'd been like steaming out like women's skirts, with a hot steamer since I was like 12. I could do this. And so I called them and I said, I realized you had a lot of qualified candidates, but I'm really, really want this job, and I really want another interview. They gave me another interview, and I was accepted into their training squad.
I love that tenacity. You knew
Yeah.
what you wanted and you went after it. There you go.
Yeah, and it was funny because my mother said, well, the worst thing they're gonna do is say, no, we got it right the first time. So,
That sounds fun. So what a really strong, experienced, valid background. And then you started Lekka is what, 3 years ago?
So yeah, I was with locally, I was with JCPenney Corporate, and there was many years that they were kind of rounds of layoffs. And I think the last large one that they had to report was the band I was in, the group I was in. I think that day was like 600. And so after that, I did some consulting for retailers. And but like our roots here are in Dallas, my partner and I. And so it's kind of like there wasn't like, oh, let's relocate to Bentonville, let's go wherever. And so kind of like, then it was like, well, what do we do? And so we've always traveled and enjoyed shopping when we travel. And so when, it was kind of like, wouldn't it be great if we had like a store, like a little wine bar, and you could kind of come in and hang out. And so that really was what they were doing. And they were in a position where they really needed to kind of change direction and focus a little bit. So they kind of approached us to buy the store.
Awesome. And the rest is history.
And the rest so far is good history. 3 years of good history.
There you go. Well, your story is phenomenal. So let's talk about, you've got a phenomenal background, a very varied background. How do you generate the creativity? How do you generate the energy? How do you generate your own momentum? Because so much of your personality is in this store. So how do you do it? What's your secret to momentum?
Well, it's funny. Yes, it is. The store is a very large extension of, I guess, my personality, and, being the buyer and kind of the decision maker of what goes in and what, works. It's fun again. And, that was what, some of the big corporations, I think they kind of missed that because there isn't that kind of ability to be organic and creative. Right.
I totally agree.
So, but to answer your question, I kind of I'm going to bring my Georgia Tech background and my science background in. And instead of what gives me momentum, I'm going to flip it a little bit and say what reduces drag. Because momentum keeps going unless it experiences drag, and drag slows momentum down. So really it's what to do, how to avoid drag. And the drag in this business is the slog when you can't make decisions, when you can't fail fast, when when you're just encumbered with things that just don't add value. Mm-hmm. And so I really kind of just avoid that. And, and it kind of just keeps going. Without drag, the momentum kind of builds on itself.
I love it, Christopher. I'm going to have you for my keynotes and training sessions I give. I love that. You can't have the drag. You got to conquer the drag and not even let it get in there and get rid of it, kick it in the pants and get rid of it and get the momentum back going. Let me let me share something with you.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, when we were all going through COVID, we're coming out now, but when we were going through COVID, I didn't go shopping. I went to the grocery store. I went to the gas, I filled up my cars, but I didn't go actually to department stores or shop because let's face it, I had a bunch of clothes in the closet and I didn't want to go out and get something new. Do you know, I don't even think you know this. When I finally started getting out and buying some gifts for my friends and some stuff for the house that I liked, I went to your store. I went to your store. I didn't want to go to the big malls. I didn't want to go to the big stores because I don't know. I think they're kind of boring right now. And I needed something to refresh my spirit. So I came to Christopher at Lekka's. And that was important. So as we're coming out of COVID, and we're pretty much in the middle of 2021 right now, what do you see as the future for retail? What is the future for retail in general, and then also for your store? And what are you doing so that there's no drag? You're not going to allow drag. There's not going to be any drag. So talk to me about post-COVID, future retail, and what you're doing to keep the momentum up.
So when we were very blessed because we are under the same roof as a restaurant. So the restaurant was able during COVID to kind of continue operations since we're 50% of the entrance to the restaurant for Uber and DoorDash and the rest of it. We still had, an opportunity to operate. And, during that time, we really changed the merchandising a lot. We really looked, we had to carry masks, and whoever thought that we would sell literally thousands of masks,
Yeah.
Now in post-COVID, it's like, all right, well, what am I going to sell instead of masks? Because that was last year's volume. And I think the real key to successful retail in brick and mortar, because again, we have an online presence, but it's not a real, it's not a shop kind of thing where you can shop easily from the web, is to keep it exciting. Merchandising is a ever evolving, ever changing of the environment, making it new and exciting again. One of the people that I kind of had sent to you that was really valuable to me, John Simon was my CEO when I was doing supply chain for retailers, and I did software and supply chain kind of consulting. And he was a buyer at Carter Holly Hale, which the departments are gone now from LA. And he said, being a buyer in retail is like being the mechanic of a NASCAR, making the car as it's going around the track at 100 miles an hour. And it's so true because you're forever, it's never stops. It's always in motion, and you're always either building and we're taking it apart, and it's really, really good because it's exciting, and so that's, I think, the key to retail, is just keeping it going and keeping it exciting.
You made a comment to me when we were talking, and you said you got to stay new, you got to stay cutting edge, because people have a saying, feed me now.
Yes.
I want new, I want exciting. And I guess when I came to your store, it was like, hey, feed Betti something exciting, get me excited. The other thing that you mentioned, if I need to order, a pair of jeans or a top or something, and I already know my size, I can go and get that online. No big deal. I know what I'm getting. But I like to feel things. I'll go to Amazon if I want to reorder something and I've already got all the stats, or go to Zappos when I want to get a new pair of tennis shoes. But when I want to get something really special, I want to feel it. I want to feel it. I want to see what it looks like. In fact, I'm wearing one of your things today, these wrap bracelet things, and
Yes.
I love this thing. Now, would I have bought this online? Probably not. But when I came into your store and I saw the phenomenal display, and I absolutely love this, and it's fun. I got one in every color. I absolutely love it. And it's fun. And that's what people need. And I think I don't want retail missing that.
Yeah.
We've got to stay on top of that.
Absolutely. And a beautiful ring, by the way, also on that same hand, which, yes, I love that. So again, what we also find exciting about product. Very nice. Yes. What is when a product also, or the company has a thought process and a story to share. We think that's really important. the bracelet that you're wearing that doubles as a necklace,
Oh yeah.
they give back to 5 women's charities for
Yes.
every, in the profits. And so it's great to have a point of view and something that's like socially responsible and that does, good in the community and the environment.
That's right. I'm not I sound like I'm shopping network, but I've never done this before. But I'll tell you what, when I did know that this went back and supported women's groups, and also I bought a couple bracelets for 2 young teenagers that it goes back into the ocean or something. It's taking the plastic out of the ocean.
Yeah.
Yeah. So people want to buy that. They want to see meaning behind what they're buying and the fact that they're doing something really, really good. And I love these bracelets. This is like the summer bracelet of my life. I just love these things. Anyway, so let's switch it around. Is there anything that you miss that was pre-COVID?
Yes. We're because you mentioned the whole experiential, the experience of shopping, the experience of coming into the store. We would have trunk shows and we would and wine night and and it was very, very communal, and we could have in local artists that bring in, a big assortment that we could not do on our own. The trunk show really allows you to bring in merch, a much wider assortment than you could, sit there and try to write the order while you're at market or in the showrooms. And, we haven't been able to go back to that yet. We have, we have people in the queue, but we're just not quite there yet where we feel comfortable and or, because we would have about a dozen, maybe, 16 people in a very tight confined area as they're kind of reviewing product. And I think mentally we're not there yet. I think that, science and vaccination is catching up. And once we get there, I think we're going to be excited to be able to do it all again because, that's the difference from shopping online, like you mentioned, on your computer. I mean, nobody's sitting around doing the shopping on the computer with a lot of friends, so it's like, and it's kind of fun to kind of go with people and kind of see things. So
yes, and with you I can eat and drink at the same time when I shop. I love that. We're going in the right direction. I think that's the important message. We're going in the right direction. We're going to get there, so that's good. Christopher, is there anything about your job that you don't like?
I really, having done like planning and financial planning in my past, there was many aspects that I could understand about running a business, the metric wise. I dreaded having to do payroll and taxes. And finally, I was like, you know what? This is not the part. I need to find somebody else. So, I got a good accountant and I was like, come and see me once a month. Let's do the sales tax and all that kind of fun stuff that you think is fun. I don't. So that's kind of, I was glad when I realized I didn't have to do that part of the running the business. But I would say that, there isn't. It's all kind of because it's that same cycle, the same excitement. Procure, bring it in, kind of curate it for your customer, and then tell the story around the product. And what works goes, what doesn't goes to clearance. I mean, this is the only, the only thing better than that is if it was like a donut shop and you just eat your markdowns.
I think I did that during COVID. I'm trying I'm trying to get away from that.
So it's exciting.
Okay, so I totally agree. It's exciting, and I think that's the way we need to approach it. Other thought leaders in your industry, whether they're small entrepreneurial or they're the larger stores, do you agree with their thoughts? What are the trends, and do you agree with their thoughts, and how do you differ?
Oh, so that last part of the question, I have 2 people that are in the industry and that were my mentors at different parts and at different times. And Grace Satterfield was my first boss that really kind of took on the role of a larger development of me and investment in me. And we had this moment, which was not good, where he was really like, I was arguing with him. And, and finally it dawned on me what he was trying to teach me. And, he came from a background where you do more volume at a lower margin rate,
Okay.
and that counts. And I came from a background of you source very well and you take your margin percent, and it doesn't matter if you're selling, with a pitchfork. You don't have to sell with a pitchfork. You can just sell unique items, singles.
Mhm.
And we just kept going at it. And finally it dawned on me what he was saying, because he was like, you put dollars in the bank. You don't put percentages in the bank.
Oh, that's a good point.
And so so a great guy. Still talk to him every once in a while. He's up in New York now, he and his wife, and they were just super, super people. And then, as when I was at Penny's, I had another great mentor, Rich Honeyball, and he's now in Virginia Beach. And he was really good too. He really helped me hone in on product innovation, and kind of my career moved in to an innovation director position for a little while at Penny's, because they were really trying to bring innovation into product.
Yeah, right.
And, it's really important to kind of do that. And, he was a great mentor on that. There's more to come on him, and he introduced me to an amazing speaker. And Steve Harville did this amazing program for us. And it was Dazzling Blue. And it was about the subtleties of when you talk about color, when you say blue,
Right.
he would bring up a screen and it was just blue. And then he brought up this screen and said, but if I said dazzling blue, and it was really, he worked on the conversation and the words we use. He also did this great program, and he said, what if I said what if to you in a business meeting? What would be the difference if I said to you, imagine if?
Yes.
And by substituting the word imagine
Mm. Changes the whole
was
thing.
yes, because now I didn't ask you to combat me with what if. I've now asked you to join me on Imagine If. And he does a great job. He's done in Austin. Creative Ventures is super. He's super, but it's just some really good stuff in the background.
I like that. And that can be said for all types of entrepreneurs, not just retail. I totally agree with that. All types of organizations. Tell me, let's talk about your store.
Okay.
Give our audience an idea of what's in the store and what makes your store so exciting and why I love to come there.
Well, it's not a big store. We're about 1,000 square feet, but we really kind of curate and orchestrate the products that we have in vignettes, stories, related products. We feature 10 local artists, which gives us a really great.
I love that.
Yeah, it gives us a really unique kind of to have a conversation. When you come into our store, it's really great in that we can have conversations with you about art and product and a whole bunch of stuff. We really kind of always are looking to refresh and find new stories to tell.
Right. And tell our audience, I mean, your items just don't come from America. I mean, you're all over South America, Europe, everywhere, right?
Yeah, we do. We very much try to source from a lot of different places. We have glass from Sweden. We've got we had mixing cups, which were glass mixing cups from Turkey. And we found them in market, and they were just so beautiful. And I was like, they retail for $16. I was like, this is so great. Let's do it. And it's like, and that's the other thing. Like we did like bamboo from Vietnam, and it's about the find, it's about the search, and it's really, if you just open up your filters a little bit, where you're not just looking to fill, slots on a line plan, you're looking to create an environment and experience. You can source from a lot of different places. We do stuff from Central and South America too. Some really great minerals come out of there. So
right. And the other thing, and I sound like I'm a home shopping network or I'm promoting you, and I'm not, but I am, but I'm not advertising you, but your prices are really good. I mean, they really are. You are
Yeah,
very,
we it's pricing is one of those things where for a small store, we can't command. I used to be with retailers that you'd go in and you'd say, I will pay you this for that, and whatever you said was what they would pretty much say yes to. I mean, they didn't have a lot of, we had more leverage than they did. And as retailing has kind of shrank down the number of retailers and they've just gotten bigger, I think that happens a lot. We try to avoid product that has wide distribution because normally some retailer has undercut you.
right.
I don't know how many times it's like, if we can get a better cost, why wouldn't we just take, the margin and offer it at a good value? But that's a different kind of conversation. And so we don't. We find the products, we try to price it right, and the customer tells us, the customer teaches us if we get it right.
Yes, yes, I agree. So tell me, what are you excited about? Are there some new and different things that you're really excited about?
There's a lot of different categories that I'm excited about. Right now, I think it's trying to navigate the supply chain issues that a lot of our suppliers are having on slow goods. Finding new product is constantly happening. The accessory line that you saw, we're very excited about that when we find a really good one. We just brought in a skincare line that's from Minnesota that we're really excited about. We've got a lot of different categories. And
Right.
so I will say that going into fall, we think that there will be a return to having get-togethers and gatherings. So we're really excited about, food prep, that you can kind of now make a dish and you can go and sit with friends, and there could be parties coming back, which means that we'll have,
Yay,
hostess
can't
gifts.
wait. Yay.
Yeah. So hostess gifts are really a great thing for us because, you can always take a bottle of wine, but it's like if you find that one other thing, to kind of put in your rotation of gift giving, it kind of makes it more fun.
Every Christmas when I have like my hairstylist and her team, or I have my doctors or whoever that I want to give special unique gifts to,
Yes.
they come from Lekka's. They do. I mean, that's where they're coming from because they're unique and different. And I just love it. Also, you go the extra step where you wrap stuff and it's beautifully wrapped and you don't charge for that. And it's got unique bags and wonderful colors of tissue. I mean, this is just the philosophy of this company and Christopher that I just love because I don't see that everywhere. You just don't see that everywhere. Okay. So I was asking you the other day what you liked and what you're excited about. You talked about DoorDash.
Yes.
Talk to me about DoorDash.
So DoorDash, one of the kind of many purveyors of ordering food online and get it delivered to your front doorstep, and no transaction, it's all done via the phone. They approached us in early April, about piloting DoorDash Gift. And at first I was kind of like, not sure how this is going to work because our store is set up where it's very much you gather momentum as you go through the store and focusing in on what you want to give as a gift giver. So what we had to do was kind of come up with a limited assortment that we could put up on DoorDash. And we definitely had to make sure from our suppliers that everyone was okay with this, because a lot of our suppliers have policies of you can't resell on Amazon.
Right.
Because they'll pull it from you. So we put together an assortment, and it's still kind of building. I email them and I say, my pictures are rejecting. They're like, well, your food is out of focus. I'm like, I'm not a restaurant.
Yeah.
Well, your food, so we're both learning. I think they're learning a lot that every answer can't be the canned answer based on what you told restaurants. 4-mile radius from the store is not big enough. Well, the food has to be hot. And I'm like, but it's not food.
It's not food. But you could put, if Betti called you, so just so I got this straight, if Betti called you and said, Christopher, I need some gifts for some wine drinking friends, girlfriends, and what products do you suggest? And can I have them right away? You could get that to DoorDash and they come and deliver it to me, right?
Yeah, so I could redirect you to say, I could redirect you and say, go to the DoorDash app and type in Lekka Retail Concepts. I think they're going to make a new category called gifts. And so right now restaurants is like the main one. And we have an assortment out there. You select it, you hit go. It transmits to me. I fill the order in those great shopping bags with tissue that you mentioned. And a dasher will come in within the hour, pick up all the bags for you, and they just go out and they'll bring all the bags to you wherever you are.
That's
within
perfect.
radius.
And for organizations that are having a meeting, and they want to give appreciation gifts to some of their employees or or employees of the month or people that have gone above and beyond, you really are filling a niche there, my friend. You really, really are. So that they know what you carry, put it together, wrap it for us, make it gorgeous, make it fantastic, and deliver it for us. Wow, that's awesome. Great.
Yeah, no, we're excited. It's still kind of taking off, but they've been really good partners. I'm still working through some of the photo because again, a lot of the feedback is, well, your photos don't show the hero food shot. I'm like, I know, because we're not the restaurant.
We're not the restaurant. Although, for clarification for our audience, you are connected to a phenomenal restaurant. So, I mean, you get the best of everything there, guys. You really do. So, Christopher, I want to know more about you. So, your favorite book, maybe an article, maybe a podcast, maybe something that you listened to in a presentation. What was it? Why was it important to you? And could you share it?
Sure. Well, there was a time when I was in corporate that, there was always a book of the year, kind of like a philosophy would come out, and it was like we all read, good to great and different.
Don't move my
like
cheese. Yeah, got it. Remember.
And so there were some really good books, but because of my background, my favorite book was probably Minding the Store by Stanley Marcus. Because again, it was his story of successful retailing.
Yes.
And so I really, had a great time reading that. The amazing thing is that Carrie Neiman was actually the buyer that made it. And Stanley, the Marcus side, they really ran the store very well, but it was Carrie that, bought and curated and found new suppliers and stuff like that. And I find it interesting that he'll talk a little bit about her, but I've done more research about her. And I kind of think it's the equivalent of Ginger Rogers and Fred Astaire. Ginger Rogers did everything Fred Astaire did, but she did it backward in heels.
Very good. That's so true.
So it's kind of like, there's Fred Astaire, but then there's Ginger Rogers that does it even better backward in heels. So, those kind of stories, those kind of biographies, I think are really interesting. And I love finding a good story about people because it kind of drives me to kind of examine what I'm doing and, try to, emulate the good or follow their lead.
I love that. Do you have a special favorite quote, or, something that you could apply to life, work, clients, and pretty much life in general?
Life in general, I do. And it's so funny because I was really young when I heard it and I didn't write it down or anything, but it kind of stuck with me. But then I went back and found it again. In 1996, Irma Bombeck said, "When I stand before God at the end of my life, I would hope that I would not have a single bit of talent left. I used everything you gave me." And I think that is so wonderful in that you think of talent, of what you built up, and your life is spent spending it. And you spend it on others. You spend it,
I don't think I've ever heard that before. I absolutely love that.
Yeah, she was on Good Morning America when I was like really young, and I would go in and watch before I go to school while my mom was getting ready, and she would have a clip, and I just was like, she's great.
Yeah, I hear you. I hear you. I think when I was looking, when I was preparing for your podcast, I was looking at some quotes and I found one that was retail is selling things that don't come back to customers that do.
Oh, that is really good.
I
I
thought
love
that
that
was really
too.
cool. Retail is selling things that don't come back to customers that do.
Yeah.
And I love that. And I think that really exemplifies you and your organization. I cannot end the podcast really without also talking about the value, and I'm sure you agree with this, Christopher, of visiting independent local businesses. I mean,
Absolutely.
that's so fantastic. Keep the money where our local economy is. You celebrate the uniqueness of your community, which is what you guys and Lekka's is all about. You support local jobs, you help the environment, you encourage community, you conserve your tax dollars, you benefit from your expertise, you invest in entrepreneurship, and you make the community a destination. And that's the way I think of your store in North
Yeah.
Dallas. It's a
Thank you.
destination.
And it is. We are we're very blessed that we have a really a strong, loyal patronage in our neighborhood and in our North Dallas area. And we try to make it great for them as well. I mean, you talked about the frequency of guests. Pre-COVID, and I think it's going to happen again, we would have customers come in twice a month, 3 times a month. What's new? And you're kind of like, well, this morning something just got delivered, and you're kind of like, and it's again, you're constantly trying to bring in because they want to be, entertained. And
Yes.
that's what good retail shopping is. It's a form of entertainment. And you don't have to just do there and swipe and click on your computer. You can actually go and kind of immerse yourself with product.
That's right. I love that. And I absolutely am thrilled that you've been on our podcast, and I'm thrilled to get to know you even better. So Christopher, if
Yes.
our audience wants to reach out and contact you, tell them where the store is at, tell them how to contact you and how to get a hold of you. Like, I don't know, today.
You got it. So we're at 17606 Preston Road. So that's North Dallas. We're just below Frankfurt. Is a major thoroughfare that cuts across Preston Road. We have what we hang on to or adjunct to the Lekka Cafe, which is the restaurant's website, but it's Lekka Retail Concepts because again, we are the retail portion. And I know that I guess, restaurants are a form of retail, but in my kind of filter, it was like the retail was the gift store
Right.
type of thing.
Right.
Lekka Retail Concepts at gmail.com will come directly to our register. So me and my staff will always get back to anybody that emailed us. You can call. I will often say that the restaurant will answer the phone first because again, it's normally, can I make a reservation? Can I place an order for food? It's one every 6th call will come over as like, I think they're looking for something you have up front. So, but we're here 7 days a week. So
And
we
it's
would love to see.
it's LEKKA, right? For our
Yes.
audience that's just listening, it's LEKKA Retail Concepts. Okay.
Yes.
And
Lekka
it's
Retail
wonderful,
Concepts.
Christopher White. And for those of you that are watching, I'm sure my producer Zach is putting it on the bottom of the screen. And so you're going to see that, but it's LEKKA for absolutely a great experience. Do that. It's in far North Dallas, 17606 Preston Road. And tell Christopher that you saw him on the Morning Momentum with Coffee podcast. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Oh,
I want
yeah.
you to do that. Thank you,
This has
Christopher.
been so good. I've so enjoyed this. You are so good at this. I have to say.
Well, it's
I
all
just-
about momentum. You know,
Yes.
It's
Yeah.
like if you're doing something you love, you're going to be passionate about it. And if you're doing something that you're passionate about, that could be your purpose, bringing joy or information or whatever, or connecting to people. I love that. We revel in that. I mean, we do. We're so thank you very much. Thank you. And thanks for being so much a guest. And for my entire audience, thank you for joining us. For Christopher White at Lekka's Retail Concept in far north Dallas. And thanks for being here. Oh my gosh, it's so good to have you. And come on back next time. We're going to have a phenomenal guest. Remember, when you've got the right mindset, which Christopher shared so much of today, when you got the right mindset and you've got momentum behind you, you can accomplish absolutely anything. So go on out there, have a great day, have a great week. Oh, do not forget to share this podcast. Don't forget to go ahead and sign up, rate it a 5-star. Oh yeah, please. And I'll see you next time. Thank you. Live your day with momentum. Remember to ride every stride. Thank you, Christopher. See y'all next time. Bye-bye.
Thanks for listening to Morning Momentum with Coffee. Momentum matters more than strength. Your persistence will always win. Drive change, ignite cultures, and accelerate growth with your own personal momentum. To find out more about Betti, follow her on Facebook at Betti Coffee Presents for more inspiring stories just like this one. If you liked what you heard, leave us a rating and review. And if you want to hear more, subscribe to Morning Momentum with Coffee on your favorite podcasting platform. And remember, the greater the momentum, the harder it is to stop. Momentum creates motivation. Motivation creates opportunity. And opportunity creates results. See you next time.